Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new YouTube channel. My previous one that I had for about 4 years with over 9,000 subs has been deleted. And so now here I am. Now on to the subject of this video. In the aftermath of Daniel Penny being found not guilty, liberals have continued to push their ideology of anti-white racism, where you have AOC, an active politician in the state of New York, who was found saying that the subway will be safer if we lock up people like Daniel Penny. And she's saying that because he's a white man that had the audacity to defend others and himself against a career criminal in the subway. And then you had a former, I believe, congressman, uh, a black man by the name of Jamal Bowen, who made a Dear White People speech. Basically, a long list of racist diatribe and claims of, white supremacy through law enforcement killing so-called black people. And, he names the typical names you expect, the career criminal black people that ended up getting killed by cops. Uh, and again, he uses that opportunity to go on white racist diatribe. And then, of course, as you know, in New York, where this whole Daniel Penny situation took place, you had threats of riots and violence and in protests with liberal blacks and whites, the the duo of destruction, polluting the streets in an effort to advocate for another criminal so-called black person. And all of that is relevant to this, which brings me to the other portion of this video. Caitlin Clark, recently being granted Woman of the Year by Time Magazine. And in that article, she apologizes for being so-called white, stating, quote, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible. I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. Now, the reason why Caitlin Clark groveling to her knees, kissing the butt of a demographic, hell, that's even more racist than black men. No demographic of people are more vile racist than so-called black women. And her making this bow and kiss and butt statement is not going to prevent them from attacking her. Now they know they own her, and so they're going to attack her more. And mark my words, I wouldn't be surprised if this leads to the decline of her game. And guess what? She deserves it. Because I blame her and her parents for this mentality, which goes back to the Daniel Penny situation and the reactions to it, and the fact that these people feel comfortable in reacting in this vile and racist manner after a not guilty verdict, which shouldn't even have been a trial. They feel comfortable because of the people like Caitlin Clark and the people who raised her groveling over all the time towards a demographic that are openly racist. And these openly racist people are enabled by white Democrats and white liberals because it's through their institutions that the Jamal Bowens, the AOCs, the Kamala Harrises, and even the Barack Obamas of the world are rewarded. It's through those institutions that push this mentality of victimhood, inferiority complex, and thus, because of that, you feel entitled to be vile human beings. And too many people outside of those libtard institutions and outside even the Democrat Party bow down to that. And they feel the need to grovel and apologize over nothing. Meanwhile, the black women, especially in Caitlin Clark's case, that openly attack her and her supporters, they don't apologize for anything. In fact, they get more and more bold in their verbal and even physical attacks. And we saw that with the eye poke with Caitlin Clark. But it's too many woke white women like Caitlin Clark and the people who raised her in this country. And because there are too many, we get Daniel Penny going to trial. The people reacting to Daniel Penny making violent threats and not being criminally charged. The AOCs and Bowman's being allowed to be politicians despite their openly racist behavior. That's why I said in previous videos that you can no longer see because YouTube deleted my channel. But that's why I said if white people, particularly ones that vote, had any sort of dignity and truly weren't scared cowards, they would have voted 90+% for Donald Trump in the white male and white female demographic if they truly weren't cowards with zero dignity for themselves. Because there's nothing a part of the Democrat Party agenda that serves so-called white people. Unless you fall under one of those identity politic mantras. Like engage in an interracial relationship or adopt POC children or fall under the LGBTQ identity or be an avid feminist like a lot of liberal white women are, and male feminists like a lot of white guys are. But still, even when you assign to that, it's constantly made clear that you have to flog yourself and grovel and apologize to the most insufferable group of people in this country, which by and large is so-called liberal blacks, but black people in general here in America, and particularly liberal black women. And so we'll see if YouTube deletes this video and this channel as well because I'm talking about this. Right now I'm at 22 subscribers as I'm recording this, so maybe I won't catch their attention. But again, this isn't helpful at all, and I've said in previous videos that Caitlin Clark was a liberal white woman, and her silence spoke volumes to that, because here she was being legit attacked, and people wanted to write it off as, oh, she's just, not going to be a complainer. She's just toughing it out. No, she was silent because she was brought up, like too many so-called white folks in this country, she was brought up to be scared, to be fearful. And again, the white parents that raise their kids like that, if any of you listening, you hate your children and should be ashamed. You know that's idiocy, which is why a great deal of you do what you can to not live around so-called black folks. And again, I live in a deep blue state. So I know from personal experience, despite how woke or liberal or enabling of the worst behavior among so-called black people these people are in this state, despite all that, they still go out of their way not to send their kids to majority black schools. They go out of their way to not live in a majority black neighborhood. Even amongst the poorest of them. It's a rare find where you'll see even poor white folks live around poor black folks because they know even if their kids are going to deal with like bullying in school, there's nothing comparable to being bullied in a black school and when you're the white child versus being bullied in a white school with other white children. Obviously, there's always outliers, but generally that's the case. It's like comparing bullying in a kid Disney movie versus bullying in like Lean on Me, that movie with Morgan Freeman. But anyway, that's all I have to say about this situation. I did see Dear Black People trending alongside with Dear White People on Twitter, giving their response. And yeah, hopefully this just continues to get people's eyes open to the fact that these people will hate you no matter what. Um, and particularly so-called black people because of the inferiority complex. And they don't even need help from the mainstream media or the government to be encouraged to hate white people. They just hate white people based on their own insecurities and inferiority complex. But when the government and the mainstream media is enabling that narrative, yeah, they're actively putting particular demographics in danger. And that's not to mention that, other so-called black people are the most dangerous to other black people. So it's not like there's even some trade-off. Well, they're busy hating white people, so they don't attack other black folks. No, they still primarily attack other black folks. But it's increasing more, those interracial attacks, black on white. And the Caitlin Clarks of the world most definitely is not helping that. And so, yeah, again, she has the privilege to kiss butt like this, but still live around who she wants to live around. Because we know for darn sure she wouldn't be living around all of these black women, even the ones that play in the WNBA. If there was an entire neighborhood of WNBA players and it was mostly the black female players, she wouldn't live there. Her or her boyfriend, who was a, Kamala, white dude for Harris guy. And that's what, like, really brings my disdain for them out even more so. Because they know what the right thing is to think and say, but they virtue signal safely from afar because they know it's expected out of this mainstream media to grovel and kiss butt to the so called minorities of this country. And it's why I will continue to say this is why you shouldn't be supporting the mainstream media. Even when they elevate someone who you think you can relate to, the fact that they're in the mainstream means they're bought and sold. And it's usually only a matter of time before that becomes abundantly clear.